Today's review is sponsored by the new hit sitcom Attila and Teresa, history's greatest odd couple of Attila the Hun and Mother Teresa sharing a New York apartment together. I smell shenanigans.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Piranha. The 1978 one, not the 1995 remake.
Ow! Did you get bit? Ouch! Ow! Dad! Stay back! Stay back! Dad!
I've been on a bit of a killer animal kick lately, and I wanted to talk about one of my favorite movies in the genre. Admit it, it's fun watching people get eaten. When it comes to killer animal movies, Jaws is king. The sequels, not quite on the same level. I still enjoy the Jaws sequels. My favorite is Jaws 3. It's terrible in all the best ways. But when I'm in the mood for a Jaws marathon, I prefer going with a fun Jaws ripoff. Since Jaws was such a huge success, many film companies tried to cash in on the killer animal craze. Without question, my absolute favorite Jaws ripoff is Piranha. It's one of my favorite 1970s horror movies. The film opens with two horny teenagers because, of course, they sneak onto an abandoned military outpost, and they decide to go skinny dipping in the pool on the compound. It turns out that the pool is filled with genetically altered piranha that have been created for biological warfare. I'm sure they'll be fine. Cut to Skip Tracer Maggie McCowan. She's been hired to find the missing teenagers, and she enlists the help of backwoods alcoholic Paul Grogan. Their search leads them to the abandoned military complex. Naturally, they are unaware of the killer piranha in the pool, so they drain the pool into the river to see if the bodies of the missing teenagers are down there.
What are you doing? Hey!
Now the piranha are loose in the river, eating everyone in their path. So Paul and Maggie have to try to stop these killer fish before they get to the ocean. They can survive in cold and salt water because, remember, they're genetically altered.
Our goal was to develop a strain of this killer fish that could survive in cold water and then breed at an accelerated rate.
Piranha was produced by B-movie king Roger Corman. He was known for cranking out so many movies with a small budget. He released so many fun B-movies through his production company New World Pictures. Many filmmakers and actors that we know today got their start through Roger Corman. Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, James Cameron, Jack Nicholson, and that's just to name a few. There are a lot more, but I don't have time to get through that now. Piranha was directed by Joe Dante, who is one of the most underrated directors. He's the man who gave us Gremlins, but he also directed my favorite werewolf movie of all time, The Howling, and one of my favorite sci-fi movies, Inner Space.
Lieutenant Pendleton is about to be miniaturized, placed into this needle, and then injected into this rabbit. But something went wrong. And Tuck's about to get a new destination.
Piranha has something I miss in modern horror movies, a sense of fun. This isn't a horror comedy, but it does have moments of humor and quirky characters.
This plan, whatever it is, did it ever work?
No, but he came pretty close a couple of times.
The lack of fun, interesting characters has been a major complaint of mine when it comes to modern-day horror movies. I've said this before. Filmmakers, when making horror movies, want their characters to seem a little more realistic, so they give them a personality-ectomy. When you make your characters dull, we no longer care about them. We give a shit about the characters in Piranha.
I always like it at night.
Yeah, me too. It's like it's resting.
Maggie and Paul are great main characters. There's some great banter back and forth between them. One of my favorite moments in the film is when Maggie and Paul are being held captive by the military. Since the Piranha are a military experiment, they want to keep things under wraps. Paul and Maggie need to escape so they can warn people about the killer fish. So Paul instructs Maggie to distract the guard using her feminine allure, which leads to one of my favorite exchanges between the two of them.
What if he's gay?
Then I'll distract him. Let's go.
That's the case with many of the characters in this movie. They're not dull or sticks in the mud. They're fun and likable, which is why we give a shit when they get eaten. We also have Barbara Steele playing a scientist. That's always a plus.
Actually, a piranha was caught once in a pond in Miami in 72, I believe. But the Fish and Game Commission poisoned the water, and that, of course, was that. That was that, huh?
As fun as the movie is, it's not afraid to get gnarly when it needs to. The piranha death scenes are very bloody. There are a couple moments where the fish are done with stop-motion effects, but for the most part, they're done practically. We get some kills here and there, but the first major bloodbath takes place at a summer camp with a group of kids. Jaws killed off one kid, Piranha killed off a lot. Holy shit. I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but I respect when a movie has the guts to kill off a kid. It's an extra punch that shows nobody's safe. That's another reason why I love Piranha. There are characters in this movie that you don't expect to die, and they get killed off. Death and nature don't discriminate. They come for everybody. The crowning achievement is the feeding frenzy at Lost River Resort in the third act. So many people get torn apart here. The water is filled with blood, and we get a lot of moments of good practical gore effects. There were so many kills in this scene that I gave up counting them. I lost count so many times that I just said, screw it, this ain't dead meat. We don't have talent or quality here. This is the Grindhouse. We take pride in being mediocre. Compare this to Piranha 3D, because I know people are going to ask me. I do like that movie, and there are some fantastic gore scenes in there. A lot of it practical, but there's a lot of CGI. You can make the argument that it's hard to do things like this with practical effects when you have such a small budget, to which I say bullshit. Piranha 3D had a budget of $24 million. The original Piranha had a budget of $600,000. So if anything, Joe Dante did more with a lot less. I think it's actually better to give filmmakers smaller budgets. That way they have to find creative ways around certain problems, and they have to focus more on the characters and the story rather than just throwing CGI and spectacle at you. Look at the keys, look at the keys. I'll admit that Piranha does not have a complex story by any means, but it does have fun characters and plenty of entertaining and suspenseful moments, all done with less money than movies nowadays. Piranha is a Jaws ripoff, and it embraces that. The first thing we see after the opening credits is the Jaws video game. You see these little nods to Jaws, an opening kill where skinny dippers get eaten, the mayor, or in this case the owner of the resort, choosing to ignore this problem until it swims up and bites him in the ass.
I thought I told you not even to say that word.
But the piranhas.
What about the goddamn piranhas?
They're eating the guests, sir.
Funny story, Universal Pictures threatened to sue New World Pictures over this movie, and they tried to prevent its release. But it turned out that Steven Spielberg was a fan of Piranha, so he got Universal to back off. And now we have one of the most entertaining B-movies of the 1970s.
Wait! He says no! Speed up! Speed up!
This is just a fun B-movie. Remember, just because something's a B-movie doesn't make it a bad movie. Piranha has everything. Blood, suspense, fun characters, all wrapped up in a well-paced creature feature. And with that, let's get to the Grindhouse rankings. Things get so crazy in the third act that it was a pain in the ass to get the body count. We'll just say it's between 1 and a million. The kills all consist of people getting eaten by piranhas, but the filmmakers managed to make them unique, so there are plenty of standout kills. There's a fair amount of nudity with some breasts here and there, some being bitten by piranhas. Yikes. The characters are fun. The banter between Paul and Maggie keeps us entertained between the attack scenes. There's a fair amount of humor here, but it never outshines the horror. The death scenes are violent, and there's also a good amount of suspense throughout the film. The pacing is fantastic, which is the case with many Roger Corman movies. The movie goes by so fast that before you know it, we're at the ending credits. I'm giving Piranha a 4.8 out of 5. This is one of the most underappreciated creature features out there. Well worth a watch if you're just looking for a good time. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching and supporting my channel. I've been kinda getting bored with begging for likes and subscribers at the end of my videos, so I'm not going to be doing that anymore. People will let me know if they like my stuff without me having to ask them, so from now on, at the end of my videos, I'm just going to be getting to the questions, but don't worry, I will never stop thanking you guys for watching. So please let me know, what are some of your favorite B-movies that involve killer animals? This is the Maniac, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. I want to see a Jaws vs. Piranha movie. It wouldn't be good, but it would be awesome. Probably just for me, though, because I'm a proud weirdo.